Dr. A. Surya Prakash is an author and columnist and a leading commentator on Indian constitution and parliamentary issues and governance. Apart from his pioneering work on parliamentary issues, he is known for his well-researched interventions on national political issues. He has held key positions in several print and electronic media organizations. He has also been a media teacher and has taught media law and ethics. He is the founder-director of the Film and Media School of the Institute of Integrated Learning in Management, New Delhi, and the founder-director of the Pioneer Media School. He was a distinguished fellow of the Vivekananda International Foundation, a New Delhi-based think tank, and director, India Foundation, New Delhi. He has authored a number of books, including What Ails Indian Parliament and Public Money, Private Agenda, The Use and Misuse of MP Lads. He is the recipient of the Karnataka Rajyotsava Award, the Sardar Patel Fellowship from the Institute of Policy Studies, the Karnataka Patrika Academy Award, and the Bipin Chandra Paul Samman for fearless journalism. He has a master's in sociology from the Mysore University and a D.Lit from the Tumkur University. Dr. A. Surya Prakash is presently heading Prasar Bharathi as its chairman since October 30, 2014. Under his able guidance, Prasar Bharathi is a vibrant public service broadcaster. And sir, we extend you a very warm welcome.
Thank you very much for having me in the studios of All India Radio Chennai. This is one of our oldest and one of the most respected studios in the Prasar Bharathi network and All India Radio network. It has been doing great work over the years, and it's really a great pleasure to be in the studio this morning.
To begin our interaction, sir, could you tell us how Prasar Bharathi addresses to the needs of the key audiences, especially, say, the youth?
You see, with the advance of technology and generally, if you see the interests of the youth, and we are a very young nation, what we are doing in Prasar Bharathi is we are putting a lot of emphasis on FMization on the radio side, which means we will be mounting our medium wave transmissions onto FM. Right now we have our FM stations cover about 44% of the Indian population, and we hope that in the next few years we will reach about 65%. Also, as you know, FM is a very informal, chatty kind of radio system arrangement, which is very popular among the youth, and that is why in Prasar Bharathi we are laying a lot of emphasis on that while we carry on our medium wave transmissions.
So what do you think are your views on social responsibility in media, especially Doordarshan and All India Radio?
Yes, as far as All India Radio and Doordarshan are concerned, All India Radio and Doordarshan come under the ambit of Prasar Bharathi, the Broadcasting Corporation of India, which is an autonomous corporation set up by the Parliament. Now, Parliament, while setting up this corporation, has given this corporation certain responsibilities. One is that we must always act in the best interests of this nation. Two, we must always keep in mind the democratic traditions, and all our work must be aimed at strengthening the democratic environment. Three, All India Radio and Doordarshan must always respect and honor the diversity of India, and all our programs must reflect that diversity and also our commitment to putting across both on the culture side and in respect of our classical music and dance from various parts of the country, giving sufficient importance to every part of this nation. So like this, we have a lot of responsibilities given to us by Parliament, and I must say it's a matter of great pride for me that both All India Radio and Doordarshan have been carrying out these responsibilities over the years with a great amount of diligence, and I'm very happy that we have in our institution people who are deeply committed to this, and therefore if you look at All India Radio and Doordarshan as of course we are the biggest media corporation, not just here but probably in the world, because we employ over 32,000 people. And we are a public broadcaster, and a public broadcaster in a nation like India, where still there are about 300 million people who are below or around or below the poverty line. Also about 300 million people who are still not literate. So the public broadcaster in a society like this has great responsibilities, and I think both All India Radio and Doordarshan are carrying out those responsibilities in a very good way.
What do you think about the competition from private channels?
I do not know what responsibilities private channels have. I was talking about the responsibilities that we have as All India Radio and Doordarshan. Secondly, when it comes to national interest, when it comes to those big ticket issues, you see, which are transformational as far as this society is concerned, like for example the skewed sex ratio in many states in the country. This is a very dangerous thing, and this has to be corrected. If you see All India Radio and Doordarshan, all our programming and a lot of our spots and this thing, we pay a lot of emphasis to this problem because we want the people to understand the grave social implications that it can bring about. Are other private channels doing it? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But we have our responsibilities cut out. The same thing with regard to sanitation. You know, Prime Minister Narendra Modi about 2 years ago spoke about how 70% of the Indian households do not have toilets. What is the impact of this on the dignity of women? What is the impact of this on the security of women, on the health of women? Why did we not bother about this? For 70 years have gone by since we became independent. Why did we not bother about it? Let's put that question aside. Now the time has come. This is a very fundamental issue. As a citizen of this country and as Chairman Prasar Bharathi, I feel very troubled when I look at the statistics. I think we need to correct it. So therefore, the government has launched a massive program. I don't see this as a government program. This is a national program. And I think Prasar Bharathi, you know, the advertising we are doing and the programs we are doing on All India Radio, Doordarshan, we need to very aggressively push this campaign so that 4 or 5 years down the line, today 70% of Indian households do not have toilets. I want to see a situation in the next 4 or 5 years where 70% of Indian households will have toilets. And that day, every person who is working in All India Radio and Doordarshan, you know, should really pat himself or herself on the back, because we are contributing to a very major, significant national problem and correcting it. So like that, there are various other things. Like if you see some of the initiatives launched by this government, for example, you know, the extent of suicides among the farmers in the country. Now, the Prime Minister has brought in a new Fasal Bima Yojana. You know, this is a crop insurance thing which is far more attractive than what it was earlier. I think we need to popularize this, and we have to work towards, you know, it's a very serious social problem in many states in the country where farmers are committing suicide. All of us as a national broadcaster, I think it's our responsibility. We have to see how, in what way we can contribute to bring down the suicides, in fact to end suicide. Why should farmers commit suicide? So I think crop insurance is a very important step in that direction. And like that, so there's any number of schemes. These are all, in my view, national schemes. The Jan Dhan Yojana, I think it's a global record. Can you imagine something like 210 or 220 million people in a matter of 6, 8, 9 months for opening bank accounts? This is probably the only country in the world where you can open a bank account without putting in a single rupee as a deposit. So this is truly extraordinary, and this shows not just our commitment as a people. I am telling you, can you imagine how we respond to situations? So when a good idea comes up, and in the Jan Dhan Yojana, see, people open accounts, they get some kind of insurance cover also. So Prasar Bharathi in All India Radio and Doordarshan, it has been a massive campaign from our side, you see, and I think that campaign has, in a way, we have succeeded in reaching the last man, and that is why you have some 220 million accounts opening. So this is we have our work cut out. We must work for this country. We must resolve all these basic issues which have been dogging us for 60, 70 years. We must do our bit to sort things out.
Could you share with us your perceptions on presenting government programs?
What I would like to say is, 70% of Indian households don't have toilets. We have to build toilets. Our schools don't have separate toilets for boys and girls. This is not a government program. In my view, it's a national program. You, I, every one of us, not just in Prasar Bharathi, but in this country, every citizen must worry about it. Every citizen must do what he can for it. We send our children to school. We must engage with the school authorities. Why are there no separate toilets for the girl child in the school? I think it's a national movement that we have to pursue. This is not a government program. In my view, all these things are national programs, and irrespective of the government, we as a national broadcaster, we have to take responsibility and push these things so that, say, 4 or 5 years down the line, many of these issues are resolved. Now that we have identified it, that there are no toilets in schools, we must fix it. Let's not go into the question, well, how come nobody thought of this for 60 or 70 years?
So what do you think are the future plans that you have in store for Prasar Bharathi?
No, as far as radio is concerned, as I told you, we have to go, we have to really step on the pedal, as it were, and take to FMization in a very big way. That will keep our audiences, and also it will help us reach people all across the country, and FM also gives us various other advantages, like for example your smartphone. Your smartphone becomes your radio set in a sense. The other thing I must tell you is the revolution that's happening in the country now. We have over 1,100 million mobile phones in this country now. For a nation of 1,300 million, I am told the mobile phones in India 1,100 million. The number of smartphones out of that is something like 300 million. That means 300 million people in India are listening to your FM radio via their smartphones. And this is going to increase in geometric proportions. I would think it will multiply by something like 15-20% per annum. So that, say, 3-4 years down the line, you will have 500-600-700 million smartphones in the country. And that is what all of us in Prasar Bharathi have to keep in mind. The smartphone is now going to be the instrument through which people are going to listen to us and people are going to watch us. So there is a lot of technology coming in regard to the video on the smartphone. The other thing is, all of us have to remember in media corporations that the new media consumer is coming via the new media instrument, that is the smartphone. More than reading a newspaper or watching news or something on television, you are going to find people coming on to your news bulletins via the smartphone, which means we must now, in order to engage and keep that consumer with us, we have to rework, go back to the drawing board in terms of the duration and the type of news stories we do, video stories or audio stories for our audiences, also other programs.
Thank you for your very inspiring words. Thank you so much.
Thank
We're
you
glad to
very much.
have you
Thank
with
you.
us.
Great pleasure being here.